Hello, this is State Representative Rob Martwick, and I'm coming to you from Springfield, Illinois, here in our state capital, with the latest of my Springfield update. So it's May 29th, and it's about 6:15. We just got out of session, and there's some committees going on right now, but I don't have any, so I wanted to take the time to give you an update on what's going on, because we are 2 days away from our budget deadline of May 31st. And for the first time in almost 4 years, I have good news. So it would appear as though we are closing in on a budget. Now, it's not guaranteed, but there are still 2 days to go, but we're very close. And it would seem that the Democrats and the Republicans alike feel like this is the year that we should probably finally sort out the budget, pass a balanced budget, get it to the governor's desk in a bipartisan fashion. Imagine that. So that's the good news about the budget. 2 days left. We'll keep you updated, but things are looking good. Number two, carjacking. This is a big issue throughout the Chicagoland area. We've seen a rise in the number of carjackings. There was a bill that was attempting to address carjacking, and by changing the way the burden of proof is on an element of carjacking, which is possession of a stolen motor vehicle, this bill passed overwhelmingly in the Senate, overwhelmingly in the House, and it's going to go to the governor's desk. That green marker's not working, but we'll just say for the sake of argument, carjacking is going to be addressed, and that's good news. Number three, gun dealer licensing. This has been a big part of our common sense, really minor reforms, but small steps to rein in some of the gun problems. This is the bill that creates or permits the state of Illinois to license gun dealers. They will have to apply for their license. This allows us to require them to have video surveillance, keep records, so that we can attempt to weed out the bad actors, those people selling guns to straw purchasers that are wind up being used in crime. So gun dealer licensing passed. That's good news. Tobacco 21. This is an initiative that would have raised the age limit for purchasing tobacco from the age of 18 statewide to the age of 21. Now, there are already 26 communities, Chicago being one of them, that require, from a municipal level, from a local level, that the age, the minimum age for purchasing tobacco in their towns is 21. So if you're a resident of the city of Chicago, or if you go to a store in Chicago and you're under the age of 21, you can't buy tobacco. This would have made it statewide. It unfortunately came up with a few votes short. I think it got 54. It needed 60. So that will not be the law of the land. So that's kind of it for right now. I mean, there's a bunch of other small bills that have been going on, but those are sort of the four big ones. What I do want to talk about is the fair tax. So we did have a big debate on the fair tax. Now, to be fair, it was a debate. We cannot institute this year. We cannot change it this year. But we debated about the merits of the fair tax. And I think it's very important because it involves math. What do I mean by that? So today I delivered a letter to my Republican colleagues along with a small gift. I gave them a calculator. In fact, I think I have one lying around here somewhere. I gave them a calculator. And the idea was to start the discussion that if we are going to solve our problems long term, we need to do math. And unfortunately, so often our debates become about ideology with no regard to the underlying math. So today the debate was brought up about the fair tax, and all the Republicans got up and said, we're against it. And my point was saying, before you go on and on about saying that you're against a tool that could be a solution to our financial problems, shouldn't you at least understand the math? Well, I will say that about probably the vast majority of my Republican colleagues appreciated the gift, even though it was obviously somewhat tongue-in-cheek. But it started the discussion, and that was what it was intended to do. We need to talk about the math. What do I mean? Well, you've probably heard me say this somewhere, if not here, but recently I asked COGFA, Commission on Government Forecasting and Accountability, nonpartisan mathematicians, number crunchers, economists, finance experts. I asked them if we, over the course of the next 27 years, live up to our requirements to properly fund the pension system, which I think everyone agreed we should do, if we properly fund education as we committed to do on our education funding reform bill from last year that both sides took, great celebration over its passing. So if we live up to those two things, and the rest of state funding just grows by its historical average, which in Illinois, once you take pensions out of the mix, is actually pretty low. It's pretty flat growth. We're going to fall a cumulative $224 billion short over the next 27 years. Now, that's not Democratic math, and that's not Republican math. It's just math. And so when I ask COGFA if we pay our pensions, we properly fund education, and all other spending grows by its average, and we fall $224 billion short, how much of a tax would we need to make sure we actually balance the budget? So what they told me was basically a 6.5% flat tax is what we would need right now. 6.5% flat tax is what we would need right now. And every year that we don't do a 6.5% flat tax, we're currently at 4.95, means we're just accumulating debt that will require an even higher and higher and higher flat tax. 3 Federal Reserve economists recently talked about our pension problem, which is the driver of our financial problems, and they said the solution there was to institute a property tax, a statewide property tax. And people in Illinois are like, wait, we have some of the highest property taxes in the country. How do you do that? What did the Federal Reserve economists say? It's undeniable that Illinois will have to raise taxes. So how do you want to do it? Income, property, sales? Well, everyone rails about our high property taxes. A fair tax would allow us to raise taxes, but do it in a fair way so we're not burdening the middle class, the working class, the people who are poor, working poor. It would allow us, it's one way of solving a math problem. And what I was trying to get across to my Republican colleagues is we have to solve this math problem, because if we don't solve this math problem right here, we are going to put an enormous burden on the next generation to have to pay for the things that we didn't solve today. And as many of you know who've watched these videos, I won't be part of that. I won't do that. So I'm going to keep pushing to solve those problems today. So do we want a 6.5% flat tax on every Illinoisan? I don't think that's right. But the reality of it is, that's what we're spending. We're spending at 6.5%. We're collecting 4.9%. And what we're doing is we're putting the rest of it on a credit card to be paid later with much higher interest. That's so irresponsible. So we need to solve this problem. And what I've said to my Republican colleagues over and over again is, I will argue with you, I will discuss with you, I will debate with you about the proper ideology, but we can't talk about the ideology until we accept the math. And that's what the calculators were designed to do. Great response from people. Some jokes back at me, which I thought was fine. Again, the idea that we're actually talking about the math. One of my colleagues came up to me and said, well, I had no idea that your plan for a fair tax would include $3 billion of property tax relief. I had no idea. He said, I'd sign on to that in a heartbeat. And that was my point. Don't say you're not for something until you understand what things actually do. So we're not going to get this done this year. We're going to get a budget done. We've addressed carjacking. We've got a gun dealer licensing bill that will go to the governor. We'll see what happens with that. We failed on Tobacco 21. We're still working on gaming. We'll see what happens with that gaming expansion. No legalization of marijuana this year. But again, these are things that you work on incrementally. But this one too. And I hope we keep working on it. And I hope that when people start to look at things with math and a calculator, they'll start to realize that you don't take away tools to solve your problems. That doesn't mean that you don't, ultimately, that's the answer. I believe fair tax is an answer, because I think it'll help us raise our revenues without punishing the people that are already having a challenge in our economy, and we can use that money to solve problems like this. But you don't have to agree with me. But don't dismiss it until you understand the math. So that's what I'll keep pushing on this summer, next year, and every year that I have the honor to come back and represent my district in the House of Representatives. We'll push for mathematical solutions to our problem that will help the next generation, not saddle them with more debt and higher taxes. That's not the answer to anything. So that's it for now. 2 days left. I'll be back to let you know if there's any progress on updated bills. And when we pass a budget, I'll give you a recap of everything that we did and highlights of what's in the budget. So stay tuned for the next couple days. And as always, thanks for watching. You can reach out to me here, leave a comment, or feel free to call me at my office, 773-286-1115, or reach me at repmartwick@gmail.com. Probably until tomorrow. Thanks for watching.